Greetings YouTubers and welcome back to another Todd E. Walnuts collection overview video. And today we're going to go through my Twilight Time collection. Maybe some of you guys remember the Twilight Time label. It was pretty hot a few years ago and these were all limited to 3,000 each. And it's kind of like a Criterion Junior or Criterion Light. It's very similar to that label where they would have a lot of different artsy movies and then they had some horror and some action mixed into it. So if you guys are interested in that, stick around and let's check this out. I have one full shelf and then maybe half of another shelf, so it shouldn't take too long, but it takes as long as it takes, and let's go through it. Get yourselves relaxed, get a beverage and a snack, and let's check out these movies. I think I have roughly a little over 80 titles. So like I said, this shouldn't take too long, but it takes as long as it takes. We go through and we don't rush. I try not to linger. We try to hit the sweet spot. So the first one is called The Three Worlds of Gulliver with special effects by Ray Harryhausen. And this movie came out in 1960. It's 99 minutes running time, and if you see that little box right there in the middle, it says limited edition of 3,000 units. Now, each of these movies has that. I'm not going to go through and show that little box on every single one. But this was a kind of a cool little company. It was run by two guys. And they were partners or whatever, and one of the guys died. And the other guy tried to keep it going as long as he could. And I think about a year after his friend died, they ended up, I guess, kind of abandoning or shutting down the label. I'm not sure if anybody picked this up. I haven't really tried to follow this label anymore. I know that they were selling these movies through Screen Archives, so they may have some stock still available there. I'm not sure, but next one is called 10 to Midnight. This was a really good Charles Bronson movie. Charles Bronson is playing a detective who is on the prowl for a serial killer. This was really, really well done, I thought. And this one came out in 1983. I enjoy that one. Next one is a movie based on a true story of a serial killer from England, and this is called 10 Rillington Place. And I'm trying to remember the name of the serial killer. His name was John Christie. Based on the case of British serial killer John Christie, the film also explores the miscarriage of justice against his damaged neighbor, Timothy Evans. And this one came out in 1971. 111 minutes running time. I enjoyed that one. It's been a while since I watched it, but I remember enjoying it. Next one's called American Buffalo with Dennis Franz and Dustin Hoffman. And this one came out in 1996. 87 minutes running time. So those were, well, I guess we started with numbers. Now we're getting into the A's here. So this one is Angel. Audrey Rose. This is a horror movie from 1977, 113 minutes running time. It says Audrey Rose is incomparable. Robert Weiss's eerie adaptation of Frank de Folletta's novel gives us an affluent New York couple at a loss to explain the transformation of the heretofore happy little girl. What the hell? Who wrote this? That You guys can read that. I give up. I don't know who wrote that, but they had their nose in a dictionary or something. I don't know. I like to consider myself well-read, but that's a little bit much for me. So next one's called Bandit Queen. This is based on a true story as well. This was from 1994, and this is the horrifying real-life story of Poolan Devi, born a lower caste girl in rural India, who was married at 11, repeatedly, we can't say that word, but she was repeatedly taken advantage and brutalized. So she finds her freedom as an avenging warrior. That's awful. Jeez. Next one we have Bogey in the Barefoot Contessa. This was from the 40s, I believe. Nope, 1954. It's really long, 130 minutes running time. You can't go wrong with some Humphrey Bogart, though. Here's another horror movie called The Believers. And this one came out in 1987, 114 minutes running time. Supernatural type movie. A recently widowed police psychologist forced to deal with a series of ritualistic child murders. So they really tackled some kind of touchy subjects in these movies. Here's Birdman of Alcatraz. This one has Burt Lancaster, I believe. And it came out in 1962, 149 minutes running time. This is also based on a true story of Robert Stroud, who was a real-life two-time killer who, during decades in solitary confinement, remade himself as one of the world's foremost experts on birds. I've seen several documentaries about Stroud. He was a turd. They gave him way too much freedom as far as birds and stuff. He didn't deserve that. Next one's called The Black Stallion Returns. Movie from 1983. This one's beautiful. It has really cool atmosphere and really cool filming locations in that one. Here's a remake of The Blob from 1988. And I actually enjoyed this one more than the original, but I like them both. But this one's really good. Next one's called The Blue Max. Oh, and I dropped one. That's what you get when you watch a Walnuts video. You never know. So this one came out in 1966, 156 minutes running time. The Blue Max is based on Jack D. Hunter's perennial bestseller about an ambitious young German soldier, played by George Peppard, who from the muck of World War I trenches becomes determined to join the aristocratic ranks of the country's heroic flyers. Ursula Andress is also in here, as well as James Mason. This is a great cast. So let me pause it and pick up that movie I dropped, and we'll continue. Okay, where were we? The Bounty. This is the one that fell. This is a great movie, too. This is, there's been several movies about the mutiny on the Bounty, and this is just another one. It's one of the better ones, I think, with Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins. This movie came out in 1984, 131 minutes running time. They take over a ship. The next one here is a John Wayne movie called Brannigan. Always enjoyed John Wayne. 1975. John Wayne plays a Chicago cop sent to a journey to England to pick up a bail-jumping thug played by John Vernon for extradition back to the U.S. Classic action movie from the 70s. This is Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. And this one came out in 1974, 112 minutes running time. Warren Oates played a great role in this movie. Reviled on its release, reassessed today as a masterpiece. Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia is a pantheon director Sam Peckinpah's nihilistic yet poetic tale of Bernie, a wastrel, sometimes piano player. See what I mean about the way that they tried to get too cutesy and too artsy, I think. Just give us the frickin' synopsis. You don't got to try to pick out the most fancy words in the thesaurus, right? Lost to the wilds of Mexico. So yeah, another one of my classic videos here. I hope some of you are still watching. Next one's called Carla's Song. I don't know anything about this one. From 1996, 111 minutes running time. It's a Ken Loach movie though. He was a great director, British. We already saw that one. I got these, what? I got this one backwards. Next one is The Chase. Paul Newman. Jane Fonda, Robert Redford. Angie Dickinson. No, Paul Newman is not in this one. Robert Duvall. Great cast though. I thought that was Paul Newman right there. It's Marlon Brando. That's why. They do look similar, I guess, at that age, but I don't know. The next one is a haunted killer car, Christine. John Carpenter, one of his early works. 1983. Fun movie though. Keith Gordon. Alexandra Paul. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I have seen it a few times. It's a kind of a classic vampire movie. Count Yorga, Vampire, from 1970. 93 minutes running time. And we got a Frank Sinatra movie. Frank plays a detective called The Detective. Old Blue Eyes. 1968. 1968 was kind of the golden age of the spaghetti western. I would have loved to have seen Sinatra in a spaghetti western at this point in his career here in 1968. Although he's probably better suited as a detective. It would have been kind of fun to see him in a western role. I always enjoy Sinatra. I thought he was a great entertainer, whether it would be music or movies. Next one is a Christopher Walken movie called The Dogs of War. Check out that gun. That's a great cover. The movie came out in 1980. 119 minutes running time. A mercenary-led coup in a small African dictatorship. Lots of action in that one. And now we are up to Drums Along the Mohawk. And there's a bonus feature on here called Becoming John Ford. Let's see here. Drums Along the Mohawk was from 1939, color 104 minutes. And Becoming John Ford was from 2007, and it's black and white and color, 93 minutes running time. It's a documentary about the filmmaker's career. This is a really nice one to get if you can grab that one. Emperor of the North, Lee Marvin. Ernest Borgnine, Keith Carradine, great cast. 1973, 120 minutes running time. And the next one is Fatherland. haven't watched this one, from 1986, 111 minutes. Another Ken Loach movie about an East German singer-songwriter who exchanges the political repression of his home country for the new pressures of capitalism in the West. See what I mean about kind of artsy-fartsy movies. Next one's called Fever Pitch. 1997, 102 minutes. It's about a soccer club, Arsenal Football Club. Honestly, I really don't know much about soccer at all. I haven't watched this. Next one is called First Men in the Moon. This one stars James Mason. This was a really good one. Some really excellent sci-fi. I believe there was special effects by Ray Harryhausen in this one as well. Nope, this was the Lionel Jeffries movie. But it did have Ray Harryhausen special effects. This one's from 1964, 103 minutes running time. I believe the James Mason movie I was thinking of is Journey to the Center of the Earth. But Lionel Jeffries played a really good role in this one. He was always a great actor too. I enjoyed that one. It was an H.G. Wells story adaptation. There's Fright Night, the 30th anniversary edition. Everybody knows this movie. Roddy McDowall. 1985, 106 minutes. This one was limited to 5,000 now. And a lot of these had an isolated score, so you can actually listen to the soundtrack on your Blu-ray without watching the movie, which was a nice little feature. Here is the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. 1973, Ray Harryhausen again. 105 minutes running time. These are really fun movies. You can see Caroline Munro right there. She was gorgeous. She's still beautiful. John Philip Law, who was also in some Italian movies. He was in some spaghetti westerns and stuff like that. He had a good career for himself. There's a movie that was controversial for its time. Sidney Poitier, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Interracial couple. This was from the 1960s, 1967. I believe Poitier won an award for this movie. Or he was at least nominated. Okay, he didn't win for this though. It said Katharine Hepburn won for Best Actress, and this movie also won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for William Rose. But Poitier was a stud. I mean, he was a great actor. Here's another Charles Bronson movie. This is a boxing movie called Hard Times. Also has James Coburn, who was a great actor too. And it co-starred his wife, Jill Ireland. He did that quite a bit. Filmed by Walter Hill. Charles Bronson was no joke. I mean, the guy was a legit tough guy. And before he was an actor, he was a coal miner. And you know, you have to be rock solid to be a coal miner. Next one is a animated movie called Harlock, Space Pirate, 3D. You can see the animation there. It's almost like a video game kind of animation. And it's, I think you could watch it in, there's 2 discs. You could watch it with the original Japanese language, and disc 2 has the English language. And they came out in 2013. The Japanese version is 4 minutes longer, coming in at 115 minutes. The English version is 111 minutes. The Sherlock Holmes. movie called The Hound of the Baskervilles with Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee. It's a Hammer movie from 1959. 86 minutes running time. These are fun movies. I don't have enough of these though. I think I'm going to look for a box set or something. I'm sure somebody has put out a box set for these Sherlock Holmes movies. George C. Scott, The Hospital. 1971, 103 minutes running time. They're calling it a dark comedy. I watched it, but I don't remember much about it. I do like George C. Scott a lot, though. He's a great actor. Next one is called Inferno, 3D. 1953, 84 minutes running time. It says the one and only Robert Ryan stars in Inferno 3D as a crusty millionaire left in a desert to die by his wife and her lover. The tale of survival is enriched as Ryan transforms via his ordeal from a bitter defeatist to a crafty new man. Sounds pretty interesting. Inherit the Wind, Spencer Tracy, Milwaukee's own. We're proud of Spencer Tracy. I was born in the same city as Spencer Tracy. That's my claim to fame. All right. 1960, black and white, 127 minutes. Classic courtroom drama based on the real-life Scopes Monkey trial of 1925. And Spencer Tracy plays Clarence Darrow. A Clarence Darrow-like defense attorney faces off against a fundamentalist prosecutor, Frederick March. Wow, what a cast. Who else is in this one? You got Spencer Tracy, Frederick March, Gene Kelly, Dick York, he must have been really young, Harry Morgan, Claude Akins, Noah Beery Jr. What a cast. Norman Fell. Wow. I've seen this, bits and pieces of this. I don't think I've ever sat down and watched the whole thing through, but I need to. This is one of the movies you have to see before you die. But what a cast, though. What year did that come out, did I say? 1960. So here's the James Mason movie I was thinking of, and this is another excellent kind of a sci-fi journey adventure type movie. Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth. And let's see if we can see our guy, James Mason. This was another Ray Harryhausen movie. Did he or not? You know what? I'm not seeing Harryhausen's name on here. This is a terrible video. I apologize, guys. I'm making a lot of mistakes in this one, but it's hard to remember everything. So this one has Pat Boone, James Mason, but I'm not seeing special effects by Harryhausen. But anyway, the movie came out in 1959. These are fun, though. I really enjoy these. You can see there's some kind of a lizard that they made it superimposed to make it look like it's this huge beast. And these are really fun movies. Next one is called Khartoum. This is kind of an epic battle movie from 1966, 136 minutes running time. Most of these movies are really long. It has Sir Laurence Olivier and Charlton Heston. Man, you know, I read these names and I'm trying to think of anything we have in comparison to actors in our time now that compares to any of these, and I can't really think of too many. There are some good actors out there, but these are legends. You want to see some Elvis? There you go. Kid Galahad. Elvis was another great entertainer. He wasn't so much of an actor, but he was a damn good musician. Co-starring Gig Young, and yep, you guessed it. Can you recognize that guy right there? 1962. That is Charles Bronson. The movie's 95 minutes running time. See, there's Charles Bronson's name right there. Oh, Kid Galahad. Next one is a really good movie too. It's a good action movie called The Killer Elite, starring James Caan. Directed by Sam Peckinpah. In what year did this come out? 1975. Robert Duvall is also in here, and Gig Young again, Bo Hopkins. I recommend that one, it's really good. Kings Go Forth, another Frank Sinatra movie. I think Sinatra was underrated as an actor. 1958, 109 minutes, black and white. Sinatra, you got Tony Curtis, you got Natalie Wood. Wow. Music by Elmer Bernstein. And the next one is called Kiss of Death, film noir. 1947. 99 minutes running time. Kiss of Death tells the tale of a petty crook turned stool pigeon, Victor Mature, who in his attempt to go straight finds himself stalked by a psycho killer, the notorious Tommy Udo, one of cinema's most frightening villains. Udo is incarcerated in a startling debut performance by the one and only Richard Widmark. Another great cast. Wow. You know, these old movies are excellent. Next one is another horror movie. This one's called Satan's Baby Doll, from 1969. It's a classic giallo. A pretty young woman is in jeopardy in a Gothic-style castle. A ghost and a bit of dungeon torture. Satan's Baby Doll. Next one is another epic, kind of a war movie, fighting movie called Major Dundee, another Sam Peckinpah movie. That guy has a great resume, doesn't he, Peckinpah? So this is a 2-disc set. You get the extended version of the movie on disc 1, and on disc 2 you get the original theatrical cut. I will tell you the difference here in a minute when I find it. So the extended is 14 minutes longer. We're coming in at 136 minutes. You see that there. And the theatrical was 122. It's pretty significant. And this one has Charlton Heston, Richard Harris, James Coburn. My God. I'm glad I brought these out because I forgot how much I like these. Another Charles Bronson movie called The Mechanic. 1972, 100 minutes running time. It's a Michael Winner movie. Jan Michael Vincent, Keenan Wynn, Jill Ireland again. He did that a lot though. And Charles Bronson was a badass though. A little tiny guy, but I mean, never judge anybody by their size. That's one thing I learned in my life. Next one here is kind of a horror sci-fi Mind Warp. This one has, I didn't mean to make my lips pop like that. This one has Bruce Campbell in it, right? Yeah, Bruce Campbell's in this one. Angus Scrimm, who played Tall Man. and Phantasm is in here as well. This one came out in 1992, 96 minutes running time. Cult horror veterans Bruce Campbell, Evil Dead, and Angus Scrimm, Phantasm, co-star in Mind Warp, produced by Fangoria Films. The film tells the grisly tale of a post-apocalyptic society in which the privileged exist only as dreamers plugged into, so they plug themselves into these machines and they kind of live through their memories or dreams or however that worked. It's actually pretty good though. It sounds better than how I just explained it. It's pretty fun. All right, Mississippi Mermaid, here we come. This one I have not watched yet. I think this is a French, it's a Truffaut movie, so it definitely is French. 1969, 123 minutes running time. It is in language French and English subtitles. Can't tell you anything about it though, but I have it. Here's a good one. There's been many different renditions, I guess, of this movie. This is Moby Dick. This one stars Gregory Peck. This is a great movie. Gregory Peck plays the best, what was his name? Captain Bligh? Oh, Captain Ahab. That's right, Captain Ahab. The legendary writer-director John Huston adapts Herman Melville's great American novel, Moby Dick, with the assistance of another legend, co-screenwriter Ray Bradbury. Everyone is familiar with the story about the obsessive Captain Ahab, determined to hunt down at whatever cost the great white whale, a potent symbol for all the unstoppable evil in the world. And Gregory Peck kills it in this movie. I might watch this one again soon. This is pretty good. It's more than pretty good, it's really good. Next one's called A Month in the Country. (1987), 96 minutes running time. A simply beautiful tale of a pair of emotionally wounded World War I veterans who find some respite in the beautiful Yorkshire countryside and in their supportive friendship. I haven't seen that one yet, so I don't know anything about it. Okay, we're up to another Charles Bronson movie. Murphy's Law. This was when he was near the end of his career, I would say. This is from 1986. And it says it was the 6th collaboration between legendary star Charles Bronson and J. Lee Thompson, director. Murphy's Law features Bronson as a hard-boiled LAPD cop framed for murder by Joan Freeman, a vicious ex-con he originally put in prison. Going on the run, handcuffed to a foul-mouthed petty thief, he attempts to track down Freeman, even as she keeps killing his associates. And this wasn't one of his better works, but it was still very entertaining. I already said 1986, 100 minutes running time. Originally put out on Canon Films. Here's some more sci-fi. This is the kind of stuff I really love. Mysterious Island. And this one is from 1961. Ray Harryhausen. Who was in this one? Herbert Lom was Captain Nemo. These are fun movies. 2 more for this shelf, and we'll get down to the second shelf. And this one's called The Night of the Generals. (1967), 148 minutes running time. Man, these movies are long. It's a World War II crime thriller about Nazi investigation into the murder of a prostitute. That's kind of a weird topic, but hey, I bet it works. I don't think I've seen that one yet. It doesn't ring a bell. And the last one for this shelf is Night of the Living Dead. This is the Tom Savini remake from 1990. And I love this movie. I think Tom Savini did a great job. Really don't have much to say that you guys don't already know about this movie, of course. This was a George A. Romero approved remake. He gave Savini the thumbs up in support making it. It was a really good movie, I thought. So that is the end of the first shelf. And I'm going to pause it here, get something to drink, and then we'll finish up down here. The first one on shelf 2 is called Oliver. This was a great movie. I watched this a lot with my brother when we were kids. This particular, there's been a lot of Oliver movies, but this is the one that we watched with that little guy there. And this one was originally from 1968, but they played it on TV a lot. It got a lot of play. And Oliver Reed was in here. Yeah, he's in the movie. Let me see here. Ron Moody. I thought there were more. Oh, Jack Wilde was the Artful Dodger. You remember him from some of the Saturday morning programs. I can't remember. Was it Sigmund and the Sea Monster or something? He was in one of those anyway, but 153 minutes. This movie is really long. It's excellent though, because you get there was a lot of singing and dancing and comedy, and it was great. I really enjoy Oliver. Got another Sinatra movie here. This one's called Pal Joey. This was right up his alley. That's the kind of character that he played, was more or less how he lived his life. This one came out in 1957, 111 minutes. He plays an entertainer in this movie. Rita Hayworth, I believe this is where he met her and they ended up marrying, but it didn't last. And Rita Hayworth, she died at a very young age. I think she had Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that. Not too long ago, I watched a documentary about her. She was gorgeous. And Sinatra, he was pulling all kinds of cooch. Yeah. All right. Oh, I dropped it again. I swear to you, I'm not drunk or anything. I don't even drink or smoke or do any of that, but it probably seems like the way I'm dropping stuff. I don't know what's going on, but the next one's called The Pirates of Blood River. This one was in a box set, I believe, from, was it Indicator? This one came out in 1962. I think this was in a, wait, maybe I'm thinking of something different now. Was this a Hammer movie? I thought this may have been in one of the Hammer box sets from Indicator, but I could be completely wrong about that. But these are fun movies, though. I like Hammer movies. The ones from the 50s and 60s are good. Next one's called Play Dirty. Good action movie with Michael Caine. 1968, 118 minutes running time. Superb cast, topped by Michael Caine, Nigel Green, and Harry Andrews. A combat film set in North Africa during World War II. I'm always fascinated by World War II stuff, whether it be movies or documentaries. They call that one the Necessary War. Next one's called Resurrected. 1989, 92 minutes running time. It says it was the career-launching movie for director Paul Greengrass, who also did The Bourne Ultimatum, and actor David Thewlis, who played in Naked. Resurrected is a documentary-style film based on the true story of a Falklands soldier who turns up alive after being presumed dead and accorded a military funeral with full honors. Next one is a double feature. These are 2 more Ken Loach films. There's quite a few in this collection here. This is a double feature called Riff-Raff and Raining Stones. And these movies, let's see. Riff-Raff came out in 1991 and Raining Stones came out in 1993. Here's kind of I wouldn't call it strange, it's different. I enjoyed it. It's called Rollerball. And it has let me see who's all in here. John Houseman. I wonder why they don't have James Caan listed up there as #1. That's really weird. They have, it says starring John Houseman, Maud Adams, John Beck, and Moses Gunn, but it doesn't have anything about James Caan, and he's the star in the movie. I don't get that. The movie came out in 1975, 125 minutes running time. A dystopian future, which was in 2018. In this movie, a war has been replaced by a game, a gladiator type game of violence. It's different, it's weird, but it was still pretty entertaining. I don't even know if I should upload this video. This is pretty bad. I'm gonna let it go though, because I have so much time into it already. The next one's called Save Your Legs, and I have not watched this one. This is a ragtag team of Australian cricket players. And again, I know nothing about cricket. I think I know more about soccer than I do about cricket, and I know almost nothing about soccer. But this one came out in 2012, 92 minutes. I hope I don't offend anybody by saying I don't know anything about soccer. It's just that it's not popular here in the region that I live in. So I just don't know much about it. I didn't grow up playing it or watching it. We don't have any teams here, so I hope you guys don't take offense to that. I know it's huge in the world. It's huge in Europe. In the Scandinavian countries, I know it's huge over there too. At least I think it is, but I just never grew up. I never watched it. I was never really around it. So the next one is called Scorpio. (1973), 114 minutes. Burt Lancaster, Alain Delon, who just recently passed away within the last year or less. Another movie directed by Michael Winner. Wow. Featuring a superb score by Jerry Fielding. And you can listen to that on an isolated track. Most of these do have isolated tracks. I don't know about all, but I think at least most of them do. Here's another horror movie. I think this is an anthology called Scream and Scream Again. Does this one have Vincent Price in it? Starring Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing. Wow. The Holy Trinity of Actors, 1970, 94 minutes running time. It says kind of a horror movie, kind of an espionage film, and, oops, I had to itch my wrist. There we go. What a video, huh? And in some sense, a piece of science fiction. I'm just going to keep going. Let's just end this thing. The next one is called The Secret of Santa Vittoria. This is an Italian movie. I think it's in Italian language. Oh, English language, 1969 color, 140 minutes. Stanley Kramer's The Secret of Santa Vittoria, 1969, gives us a tale set towards the close of World War II a warm-hearted comedy with a dramatic touch, handsomely presented by a potent cast, including Anthony Quinn, who was another damn good actor. One of the best. That guy gave it. He brought it every time he was in a movie. He brought it. I always enjoyed his movies. Next one is called Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. 1977. Color. This one has John Wayne's son in it, doesn't it? And Ray Harryhausen. Patrick Wayne was the star there. That was John Wayne's son. And these are fun. You can kind of see where Ray Harryhausen was working his magic, because some of that stuff looks like, you know, creatures from his other movies. That guy right there looks like something from Clash of the Titans. But it was always great. It says here, this is the third in special effects genius Ray Harryhausen's trilogy of films about the legendary sailor Sinbad. Next one is Solomon and Sheba, another epic. 141 minutes running time from 1959. Says Yul Brynner. Check out Yul Brynner when he had hair. He was a handsome guy, but he went most of his career with a completely shaved, bald head. I'm not sure if that's a wig. It looks real, but hell, I don't know. Who knows? And Gina Lollobrigida was gorgeous. She was a very gorgeous woman, Italian. Yeah, there's really not much else to say, I guess. The last film of the great director King Vidor. It's a biblical epic, they're calling it. And Yul Brynner replaced Tyrone Power in this movie, who died on the set of this movie. And the next one is another Charles Bronson movie. This is a good one. The Stone Killer. I really like this one a lot. It has kind of that Death Wish type feel to it. There you can see Norman Fell again. He was in some good movies. He worked with some heavy duty actors in his career. Another Michael Winner movie too. And Dino De Laurentiis produced it. Martin Balsam is in here as well. The tale of a tough cop up against the mafia. A lot of shooting in that movie. A lot of chasing up and down stairwells and down hallways, peeking around the corners, shooting. Next one is called The Story of Adele H. It's another Truffaut movie. It's a French. I've never watched it. 1975. Truffaut is a great director. He's just a little too artsy for me. But I think at some point I should probably dive into some of those instead of just watching the brainless movies that I watch all the time. Next one's called Strange Invaders. 1983. 93 minutes running time. Michael Laughlin directs an affectionate homage to science fiction alien takeover films of the 50s. Cool. I think everybody enjoys a good sci-fi movie from time to time. Next one is a Vincent Price movie called Theater of Blood. This is a comedy, horror, more comedy, I would say. 1973. Diana Rigg is also in here as well. 104 minutes running time. Theater of Blood offers the one and only, wow, how'd that get so blurry? One and only Vincent Price in the role of both madcap and touching. He plays a Shakespearean actor determined to wreak vengeance on the critics who fail to appreciate his genius, killing them in a series of set-piece murders based on scenes from Shakespeare. And I have watched this before, and I remember it being kind of silly to the point where it's like a comedy horror. Nothing wrong with that, though. Here's a double feature of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. These are fun movies. They're both rated G. And let's see here. Tom Sawyer came out in 1973, and Huckleberry Finn came out in 1974. I like these movies. Okay, so the next one is called The Train. This is a really good one with Burt Lancaster in the lead role. 1964, black and white. Paul Scofield is also in this one. Directed by John Frankenheimer. Calling it an adventure thriller. The Train stars the one and only Burt Lancaster as a workaday World War II era French trainman charged with ensuring that the cargo of irreplaceable French art is allowed to leave France. Uh-oh. The next two are the same movie, just different releases of it. And this is Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, starring Clint Eastwood and Jeff Bridges. Also has George Kennedy right there in the middle. I wish they would have released more Clint Eastwood movies. This one's from 1974, 114 minutes. And I'll leave that one there for now, because I'll show you. This was the reissue, and this was the original issue, which sold out pretty quick. And let me see on the back, this one was limited to 3,000. It's the same movie, it just has different packaging. I love this cover, though. I think they're both great. So that's one cover. This is the other. I just want to double check the quantity on this one. 3,000 as well. So they were each limited to 3,000. And the next one's called the Twilight Samurai. This is a good one. 2002. I really get into these. I have to be in the right mood to watch these, but when I do, I get into that world. Like I'm actually in the world, you know. It's hard to explain, but I can transport myself in this world for the amount of time the movie's playing. 129 minutes running time. Those samurai movies are excellent. Here's another Charles Bronson. This is based on a true story called The Valachi Papers. Mafia movie. (1972) color. I had to pause it for a minute because I heard a siren coming down the street, but it sounds like it turned off. 1972 color. Let's see, we'll read a little bit about this one. Adapted from Peter Maas's bestseller, The Valachi Papers, 1972. Tells the true story of a mafia informant, Joseph Valachi, superbly incarnated here by Charles Bronson, a low-level gangster. Associated with the Genovese crime family, Valachi moves from punk to full-fledged gangster over the course of the brutal narrative. Sounds a lot like the plot for Donnie Brasco, which was also a true story, which was also an excellent movie. One of my favorites of all time. Here's John Carpenter's Vampires. This was limited to 5,000. 1998, 108 minutes. James Woods, Daniel Baldwin. Produced by Sandy King, who is John Carpenter's wife. James Woods plays a vampire slayer. Next one is an animated movie, kind of a post-apocalyptic type movie. When the wind blows, an elderly couple tries to live through when they drop the bomb and everything's destroyed. And there's a second feature on here. So When the Wind Blows came out in 1986, 84 minutes running time. And the second feature is called Jimmy Murakami Non-Alien. I haven't watched that one yet. I did watch When the Wind Blows, though. And the second feature came out in 2010, 75 minutes running time. And 5 left. Here's another film noir, Where the Sidewalk Ends. Uh, 1950 black and white. I was trying to see who Gene Tierney is in this one. Produced and directed by Otto Preminger. He's a legend. The superlative director Otto Preminger reunites Dana Andrews and Gene Tierney, stars of his earlier smash Laura from 1944 and Where the Sidewalk Ends, 1950. A film noir about a brutal cop who accidentally kills a man, then gets in even more deeply when he tries to cover up his crime. Carl Malden is also in here as well. The next one's called The Young Lions. You got a great cast here. You can see Dean Martin on the left there. And this is a great cast. You get Marlon Brando, Montgomery Clift, who's there on the right. Marlon Brando in the center, and Dean Martin, far left. 1958 black and white, 167 minutes running time. It's a World War II epic based on the Irwin Shaw bestseller. Interweaves the stories of 3 soldiers, an apolitical German, played by Brando, caught up in a conflict he doesn't understand, a Jewish American, Montgomery Clift, forced to suffer anti-Semitism from his fellow servicemen, and a sophisticated coward, played by Dean Martin, forced into a war against his will. Dean Martin was another underrated actor. I thought he was excellent. And he was one of the best singers of all time and one of the best actors, in my opinion. Here's Zardoz. John Boorman film. This is a really weird movie. 1974. Sean Connery. I wonder if he ever regretted making this movie. 105 minutes running time. Writer-director Boorman, fabulously bizarre Zardoz, is a visually stunning science fiction fantasy fable starring Sean Connery. A primitive Adam, Sean Connery's Zed, charges like a bull through a china shop of a civilization from which all signs of lusty humanity have been drained. Whoever wrote these synopses for these movies was pretty terrible. The last one's another epic called Zulu. This one's really long too. 1964, 138 minutes. Magnificent epic about the Battle of Rorke's Drift. Pits a tiny force of some 150 British colonials against the massive power of 4,000 Zulu warriors. But what do you expect is going to happen when you got 150 British with long guns, and you got Zulus who are fighting with sticks and, I mean, there was no way they could have won. The film is a unique combination of boy's own adventure and potent anti-war sentiment, featuring a sterling score by the one and only John Barry. The last one is a DVD called Violent Saturday. This is also available on Blu-ray. The reason I bought the DVD is they were having a sale a long time ago. They were trying to get rid of all their DVDs so they can just kind of focus on Blu-rays. And they were selling some of their DVDs for $5. So I grabbed this. I don't regret it, but I wish I would have picked up the Blu-ray as well, because I think by now it's probably pretty expensive. Being that these were all limited to 3,000, some were 5,000. They're a little more pricey when you try to find them after the fact. But anyway, this one came out in 1955, 91 minutes running time. This one's got a good cast too. Victor Mature, Lee Marvin. Yep. Directed by Richard Fleischer. This is kind of a, is this a film noir? Let's see. Yeah, noir melodrama hybrid is a widescreen sensation. Pitting a trio of vicious bank robbers against a small Arizona mining town riddled with secret sins, adulterers, alcoholics, voyeurs, thieves. Great cast. So if you made it through this whole video, I'm sorry. This wasn't one of my better ones. I'm glad that I recorded it though. I almost feel like just deleting it and starting over, but it is what it is. It's just to kind of show you guys what I have, maybe give you some ideas, and if you have any suggestions for me, you can leave those below. So thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you guys next time.